Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about AR pistols, AK pistols, SBRs, basically short barrel rifles. Okay, and let's take a step back and talk about this whole concept, how it came about. And basically, back in the 20s, the government prohibited alcohol. Okay, and as a result of that of that prohibition, we had a rise in organized crime, which created gang wars, right? And because of these gang wars, we had the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Okay, and as a direct result of the St. Valentine's Day massacre, we got the National Firearms Act of 1934. Okay, so the interesting thing there is that the government takes away our rights, it results in more crime, and then the government then decides to take away more rights. So that's how that goes. Okay. So that said, how did we end up with the SBR? Okay. Well, in its original draft, the NFA included prohibitions on revolvers and pistols. Okay, anything that was concealable. So revolvers, pistols, and short barrel rifles. Now, through the bullshit negotiation that goes on between politicians, the revolvers and the pistols came out, and the short barrel rifles stayed in there. Okay? So that's why it makes absolutely no sense, because basically the NFA was negotiated back and forth to the point where it's basically not recognizable from how it was originally designed. Okay, so. That's the reason why we have this prohibition these restrictions on short barrel rifles. Now, for a long time, basically anything that resembled a short barrel rifle was prohibited or restricted. Okay, and then what happened is the AR-15 came along. Okay, AR-15 comes along. Okay, and what they did is basically they put a short barrel on this. Okay, with no stock. Okay, and they said, it's a pistol. Okay. Luckily, the ATF swallowed that. Okay, and here's the interesting thing with the AR pistol. The AR pistol has a buffer tube here, right, with a spring inside, and that is necessary in order for the gun to function. Okay, so what people soon realized is that I've got this AR pistol here, short barrel, and I got this buffer tube back here. And this buffer tube, basically, I can brace that buffer tube against my cheek or even into my shoulder, and I can make this work like a short barrel rifle. Okay, and from that point, the interest in AR pistols and AK pistols grew. Okay, and especially after they invented the SIG brace, right? This forearm brace that you're supposed to put your forearm in there, but nobody does. Okay, basically this is effectively a stock. Okay, so basically nowadays people will basically just shoulder this and use this as a short barrel rifle, and the ATF has gone back and forth on whether you can shoulder it or not shoulder it, or whether you can have occasional touching, and basically at this point none of that would basically survive in a courtroom. Okay, so basically everybody shoulders this thing nowadays. Okay, so that's how we got the AR pistol. I was very surprised when we got the AK pistol, okay, because and they allowed the SB brace on that, because the AK pistol doesn't have a buffer tube. It does not need anything back here to function, and they allowed this, and now basically we have AK pistols, which is awesome. Okay, so. That's how we have this. That's how this came to be. Now let's talk about other than the novelty of being able to work around the NFA rules. Is there any benefit? Is there any purpose to having an AR or AK pistol? Okay, and the first thing that people will usually put out there is usually, well, you can because the barrel is shorter, you can put a sound suppressor on it. And then, that makes all the sense in the world. I totally agree. If I don't have any suppressors. If I was to get at some point I decided I was gonna, go through that work with the ATF and go through that NFA bullshit. I would definitely get a suppressor, and I would probably put it on a on a short barrel rifle or on an AK or AR pistol. Okay, but I've not done that. So is there any other benefit besides being able to put a suppressor on this? Because remember, if you put a suppressor on a barrel that's 20 inches long already, right, you're gonna end up with a barrel, an insanely long barrel, right? Or even if you put it on a 16-inch AR, right? You got a 16-inch AR here. Right? If you put a suppressor on this, okay, now all of a sudden this thing goes out to, 22, 24, 26 inches, and you get a lot of weight out front. Okay, so having a short barrel and a suppressor makes a lot of sense. Okay, now are there any other benefits? Okay, now the second thing that people would usually bring up is close quarter combat, and does that make any sense? And my thoughts on that are not really. Okay, and the reason is because we do have techniques. Like if I have a wall here, right, and I'm trying to, we do have techniques of working. First of all, I can shorten this. Okay, right, because if I shorten this and I stand it next to the AR pistol, the receivers basically stop at the same point. Okay, and all I have is this additional length over here. So we do have techniques of working, in close quarters with a with a 16-inch barrel. And here's the thing: your fight may start indoors, but what happens if it moves outdoors? Okay, if it moves outdoors with this, I can easily extend this, and continue the fight. And now I still have a rifle that's effective to 200 yards and beyond. Okay, with the AR pistol. Okay, in all my, this shoots 5.5. This is a 7.5-inch barrel. Okay, it's really effective out to 75 yards. I can get hits at 100 yards, but I would say that anything past that, I mean, you're just kind of it's like you're playing the lotto. Okay, so the max effective range of this, I put it at 100 yards. And I really don't even want to be that far with it. I want to be inside of 75 yards with this. Okay, so that's the issue that I have with AR pistols for close quarter combat. Now, mind you, yes, you can get this a little bit longer, and the longer you go, the more advantage that you have outdoors. But I think that you're just better off using a standard 16-inch barrel on an AR, with the 5.56 caliber. Now, people will use other calibers like 300 Blackout. Okay, and here's the thing: if you use the 300 Blackout, now basically you're paying 3 times as much for your ammunition, and the question becomes, well, are you going to practice as much? Okay, so that's a consideration. Now, another option is the AK pistol. Okay, because the AK pistol shoots the 7.62 by 3.9. This is an 8.5-inch barrel, and basically this gun, I get like the 7.62 by 3.9 gets a much faster burn. Okay, so at 100 yards, I'm still getting like 6-inch groups with this AK pistol. Okay, now mind you, the barrel stops there. This is a linear compensator, right? They call it a booster on this. And the purpose of this is to directly blast downrange, because AK pistols, AR pistols are insanely loud, and so loud that, especially if you fire this indoors, I mean, you're gonna go. It's not that you're just gonna go deaf. You're gonna be bleeding out of your ears. Okay, so AK pistols, AR pistols are insanely loud. Now on the AK pistol, the linear compensators I don't think have been developed as much. And basically, this AK is, it sounds like, even with the linear compensator, it sounds like you're shooting a 308 and you got a muzzle brake on it, directing the noise backwards. Okay, so that's how loud this thing is. And I don't think that the brakes on AKs have been developed to the same point that they have been developed on the ARs. This AR here with the 7.5-inch barrel, basically the barrel stops here. This is all linear compensator on it. It's got the Spitfire on it. Basically this sounds like a standard, 16-inch barrel AR-15, okay? So that's been a little bit more developed. Weight-wise, I mean, I think maybe this is a pound lighter than the standard, than let's say the other AR I got right there. There is a lot of weight in this rubber back here. If you get the blade, you could probably knock at least a half pound, maybe a full pound off of that. So you can end up with a pretty light gun. Okay. So that's the thing with when you go AR pistols, AK pistols, you have to have something to quiet the gun down a little bit because it's insanely loud. And I don't think that there's that many benefits as far as working indoors. Okay, if you're like literally fighting this close to somebody, yeah, maybe, but if you're out here, it's not going to make a difference. And furthermore, even if I'm out here with this, okay, if somebody's at that distance, okay, obviously I don't want to bring the barrel up, right, because they can grab it. I can step back and fire my shot. Okay, so there's techniques that we can use working close quarters with the standard barrel. Okay, so I think AR and AK pistols are really cool novelties, and I think it's great that we have a way of giving the two fingers to the ATF and the government. But I don't think it offers that much of a benefit in close quarters. Okay, so there are my thoughts on that. If you guys have anything to add, put in the comment section. I'll look at everything, and I'll give you my thoughts. And you guys may think of something that I haven't thought of. I'll talk to you guys next time.